Stugotz, you know how you can
Yeah.
tell Mel is in work mode?
He's bobbing and weaving.
Living room. It's not
Right.
the living room with the beach setting behind him with the ocean view. Nope, it's all books and football behind him now.
Football,
He's in the study, right? Is that the study now?
That was the ESPN helmet in '94 when he said, "Who the hell is Mel Kiper?" and all that.
Right.
That's the helmet from '94 draft with the whole Dilfer, Trev Alberts thing. And then Freddie Godelli was producing that. He said, "Just take the damn helmet. This is a memorable draft. Take the damn helmet." So that's the exact helmet from the 1994 draft. That helmet phone.
It's good to see you're still not hanging on to that, Mel. I mean,
I ain't never leaving. I ain't never leaving. And I got that's a Cays Valley picture back there. They just had the BMW championship at Cays this summer. That's a football signed by Chris. When Lauren was born in March, in April, he said Lauren, a true #1 pick, signed that football there. I got Pete Rose all over the place, signed baseballs of Pete Rose. Got all kind of stuff going on in there. Yeah.
Who's your favorite baseball player of all time, Mel?
Brooks Robinson and Jim Palmer.
Really?
Brooks Robinson and Jim Palmer were my two all-time favorites. Yeah, that's why we're 7 and 22.
Right.
Because I was Burt Jones was 7. That was my favorite, one of my favorite quarterbacks. I grew up with him in the 70s. So Burt Jones, football was 7, and Palmer 22, and then Brooks I wore 5. Brooks was and I got to know Brooks. What a great guy. So he was actually above. Our tickets were right below where the suites were. So Brooks would be in Bisciotti's suite right above us.
Right.
So I'd always be standing and rocking, and I'd look up, and Brooks would be there talking to me. Imagine just looking up to see Brooks Robinson. I was like, oh, my God. So, yeah, and then Gary Williams would always be in that suite, Ralph Friedgen, all the Maryland guys, And then I looked up, and there's Brooks. So, geez, I always would see Brooks down at different, shops down in Towson. So, yeah, he was great, yeah.
Taylor's a Yankee fan. Are you delighted when the Yankees get knocked out of the playoffs? Do you love it, Mel?
You know what, Taylor? I don't hate the Yankees. In fact, my father grew up was a big Yankees fan, and he'd actually take a bike ride up to watch the Yankees when the kid got in a lot of trouble when he was like 15, taking a little motor scooter up to New York to watch the Yankees. Yankees were part and parcel to what baseball is. The history of baseball is the Yankees are responsible for a lot of that. So no, so it's a great rivalry. No, I respect that. I like Stein. I love what Steinbrenner. I love those kind of owners that are personalities that actually give a damn. I don't care if they're right or wrong. Jerry Jones, he cares enough to say, hey, I think our defensive front's pretty good. Whether you want to laugh at him or not, he at least has an opinion. So what the hell? It's sports. So we don't have to take it that seriously. So I always liked Steinbrenner. I thought he was great. And the whole Billy Martin, Billy was great. So yeah. In fact, I loved when Scooter was doing the games with Bill White. Scooter was
the best,
White.
yeah.
I used to watch him every time I could watch them. We would watch that Yankee game. So I'm probably watching more Yankees than I did Orioles back in those days.
Right. I feel like the connection point between Yankee fans and Orioles fans, too, it's Mike Mussina. We kind of both look at Mike Mussina and it's like, this is our guy. Thank you for him. Thank you for taking care of Mike Mussina after he left us.
Yeah. It was a great pitcher. Finally won 20 games, right? He won 20 games that 1 year, finally? Yeah. That's the thing. He needed to win that 20 games. We had 4 20-game winners in Baltimore. Can you name the 4 20-game winners? We'll never have it.
Can you?
No, I don't think I can.
It was Palmer, McNally.
Dave McNally.
Yep. Was it Flanagan?
Yeah, Mike Cuellar.
Right.
And Pat Dobson.
Wow.
They'll never have that again.
Ask Mel his Mount Rushmore of Baltimore.
Yeah, you'll never get that again because you got 4 starters and you have 4-man rotation.
Yes.
You don't have enough starts to ever have 4 20-game winners with a 5. And these guys are pitching 5-6 innings now and they're getting out of there. So it's crazy. But no, 4 20-game winners in Baltimore. Yeah. First game I went to was the '66 World Series against the Dodgers. First baseball game I went to at Memorial Stadium. So but no, the Yankees. I love the Yankees.
Can I start a baseball show with you? Can we do that? I want to start one. Can we do it?
You want to ruin my career? Oh, my God. Kirkshin brought me on for a podcast after the draft. We talked baseball for like 90 minutes. 90% of the podcast was about the baseball with Timmy. So,
because you love it so much.
I do. Exactly. I got books up there. One is Ain't the Beer Cold with Charlie Ekman. Charlie Ekman was the one when he coached the Pistons. The owner brought him in for a meeting.
Right.
And the owner said to Charlie, he said, we're going to make a change in your department. He said, oh, okay. He said, I sat there for a second. I realized I'm the only one in my department. So I got that Ain't the Beer Cold with remember Chuck Thompson did that. Got the book with his. So I got some great books at 2:00 on Sundays at Memorial Stadium. The Colts played at 2:00 on Sunday because the church, they wouldn't have time for the church to let out. So we didn't start games at 1:00 later. We started at 2:00. That's one of the reasons Irsay wasn't happy. I don't think he left because of that. But we were only team in the league had 2:00 home game starts when everybody else was 1:00. Because we were on 33rd Street. It was a church right there. They had to let the church, the noon mass get out, and they started at 2:00. So so that's why it was a book. I think Vince Bagley wrote it. 2:00 one Sunday with the Baltimore Colts. So there you go.
All right, at the end of this, Mel, because I want to get to the to your big board, I want to get to the NFL stuff. I will ask you your Mount Rushmore of Baltimore Orioles. So you have a few minutes here to think about it.
Mount Rushmore. Well, I know I can tell you right off the bat who they're going to be. It's going to be obviously.
Really? There's a definitive Mount Rushmore? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay. No question for me. Who my definitive Mount Rushmore? I got 3 guaranteed. I'll debate 10 others, but my 3 that are automatic are Brooks and Frank.
Right.
Brooks and Frank and Palmer.
Okay.
Brooks and Frank. And for me, Brooks, Frank, Palmer's still doing Oriole games.
Yes, I know. Right.
Like
Ripken would be the easy 4th, right?
Ripken's got to be 4, right?
What's that?
Ripken got to be 4, right?
See, for me, I go. Cal would be in the mix of the 10, but I like to go back. I think we all appreciate when we were young, who we were big fans of when we were growing up. And I was in my Calvert Hall and watching Brooks and Frank and Palmer and all those. And then Cal was, 83 World Series. I'm 20, was I 23 then, So, and actually he came out of high school same year I did, just about, out of Aberdeen. So, yeah, he would be one who would be hard not to put in. But there's so many others. I love Paul Blair. To play that shallow center field.
Yeah.
And dare people to try. He'd get to the wall and he'd go. Nobody ever hit a ball over. I always say tracking the ball in football, tracking the deep ball. You got to track it like Paul Blair. You got 2 tracks it like Paul. I always bring up my baseball and that comparisons and analogies that because Paul Blair, nobody tracked the ball in center field. Nobody played I don't think anybody ever played a shallower center field than Paul Blair did.
Right. Earl Weaver could be in that conversation.
Oh, my God. Pull up the was it Haller? Who was the umpire when he does? If you pull up Weaver and he goes back and he goes back and he goes back. And you got to pull it up on YouTube. It's funny as hell.
It's awesome.
You were over. You never won a damn play. You never won this. I won more. He knew all his stats any which ways. Those 2 were going at it. Earl Weaver, yeah, definitely. Or was smoking the cigarettes in the dugout trying to
yes.
Oh, my.
He was Leland before Leland. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And he and Palmer would always bang heads. It was a love-hate thing with Palmer and Weaver. So, yeah, he would be hard. I love Mark Belanger because he was a great fielding short. Couldn't hit his way out of a paper bag, but great fielder. Tremendous, probably one of the best fielding shortstops of all time. So, yeah. And like I say, with Paul Blair and then Weaver. 4. It would be hard to stop at 4, but I'll do it whenever you ask that. I'll think about the 4th.
Okay.
Stu, we have to put it on the poll. Did anybody ever play a shallower center field than Paul Blair?
No one did.
I don't think so.
He was standing on second base essentially.
He was so shallow, and it was like holy hell, And I saw the first game ever. One of the first games ever that was my favorite players. It wasn't Oriole. It was Paul Molitor. And Paul Molitor, I think one of his first games was in Baltimore against the Orioles that he played here, and saw that game with him. So I was out there, and we used to have true. You guys don't remember, Stu? You do true double headers. Where you'd play the one game and you'd have a little break and you start the second
game. Day-night, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My first ever.
Yeah, we get these stupid day-night doubleheaders where you got to pay for one and pay for the other one. Used to be 2 for the price of 1, right? They don't do that anymore. Now it's day-night. You got to pay for the one and pay for the other. We got a doubleheader where it started at 1 and you were there until 8, 9 at night. I used to get there at 11 o'clock for batting practice in the morning and stay until and never leave early. Let's stay late, but we always made sure we got there for batting practice. And so you knew from like 11 a.m. when you got to Memorial Stadium, you weren't leaving there till like 8, 9 at night. The great thing was there was a doubleheader, say in September because of a rain out. You could see the lines of the football field knowing on Sunday the Colts are going to be playing there. We don't have that anymore because we don't have dual purpose stadiums anymore. We got one stadium for baseball, one stadium for football. Back in those days, the Colts and the Orioles played in that same field. So in September, you knew, hey, baseball on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, football on Sunday. So as a kid, it was great to have that too. So kids won't have that benefit anymore either.
The great Mel Kiper Jr. with us here. I am very excited about this. We are presented by FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook. Mel, you get just as excited for the release of your first big board as we do, as the consumer does. And that's one of the many things I love about you. You're excited. You really are.
That's why I say take your shots, man, because it's all subjective. Now, this is why scouting is so difficult. It's because it's all subjective. And then you have theories and you have philosophies and different ways of evaluating it. They have to have a certain amount of starts if they're a quarterback, right? They have to run a certain 40 time if they play this position, whatever, a certain size, arm length I'm big on. And then you got to try to put it all together and not draft outliers and try to stay disciplined in your approach and not say, well, I love this guy so much, even though his arm length, I'm still going to take him. So that's why I think it's fascinating to see how these organizations deal with the draft. I'm sitting here for all these years, almost 48 years now, as just an outsider trying to critique teams. But to be in that room and have to actually, we all say, well, we like that guy. We didn't like that guy. But when you had to pick one in the first round, you can't you can't pick five. You got to pick one. Okay, and are you going to make the right pick? And you get so again, you don't end up with 20 picks in the draft. If teams are lucky, I'd like to have 10, 11, 12 if it's a 7-round draft. You get the compensatories thrown in. I would never want to have less than 7. But at the end of the day, there's no margin for error there. And so guys can be really good evaluators and look terrible when you look back on them because the pick that they made, they might have liked certain guys that they were debating, but they picked the wrong one.
Mel, I'm looking at your big board and I see all the things that you're looking at with all these guys. And I'm curious for you, what is your non-negotiable? Like, what is the thing that when a guy doesn't have this or can't do this or this is no good, you're like, I can't put him in the top 5. I can't put him in the top 20.
Yeah, great question. I think for me personally, and I'll get to this in a second because people yell at me on the internet all the time about this.
You take your time, Mel Kiper Jr.
The first thing is I want to see passion and fire when I'm watching a player. I want to see hustle. I want to see a guy never quit on a play. I want to see a guy that plays. The word I use is fierce. Who plays fierce? And who is the guy that I say, no matter where they're going to go in the draft, who is the guy I say, I want that guy on my team? There's a certain player this year on the top 25 big board that is a guy that I identify. He's not number 1, he's not number 2 or 3, but he's on that big board that is fierce, plays fierce. Amon St. Brown. You think about all the guys, Hines Ward, okay? Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 4th-round pick. Hines Ward was like a 3rd-round pick, quarterback of Georgia, but they played fierce, okay? And that's what I look at with one player in that first round. And I am probably higher than most. Actually, I saw Jordan Reed's mock. He has him down in the 20s, I believe. I have him right now in the top 10. So there's a guy named, and I'll tell you who it is. And he guesses who that guy is.
Does he play wide receiver?
Yes, he does.
Does he play wide receiver at USC?
Yes, he does, Mikey.
Yes,
I said yesterday during our podcast, first draft, he's not a lemon, but his name's Makai Lemon. He's no lemon. He's a great player.
He's not Cleo Lemon, right?
Yeah, he's a great player. I'll tell you, if you saw the catch against Michigan Saturday night, unbelievable gravity. He does it all the time. So Makai Lemon, I would say, is one of my favorite. You can have your favorite players in the draft, and they're not going to be first rounders necessarily. So again, those are some of the guys I identify, and this year is going to be tricky. Because at quarterback, there's one kid who you could argue right now is playing at the highest level. Since the debacle at Florida State, and that's Ty Simpson at Alabama.
Yes.
Ty Simpson
great.
Never started a game until this year.
Right.
No starts. 16 games he played them, but no starts. How many is he going to have at the end of this year? 12, 13, 14, 15? See how far Alabama goes, and whether he gets hurt or he stays healthy. Ty Simpson is going to have a tough decision to make. I think you got to go back. I don't think you're ready. I got a list here, guys, of starts by NFL quarterbacks. Okay. And here's some names. Mitchell Trubisky, 13. Anthony Richardson, 13.
These are the starts they made in college, the amount of starts they made in college.
Starts in college. Trey Lance, 17. Kyler Murray, 17. Mac Jones, 17. Now, I'll go to the top. Bo Nix, 61. Jaden Daniels, 55. Phillip Rivers, 51. Brock Purdy, 46. Baker Mayfield, 46. Peyton Manning, 45 when Ryan Leaf was 24 that same year. Remember, Leaf went second. Leaf, 24 starts. Manning, 45. Michael Penix Jr., 45. Okay, Justin Herbert, 42. Jalen Hurts, 42. Jackson Dart, 41. Why is that important? And Bill Parcells is the one started this whole thing rolling, okay, and said you need to have 2-3 years as a starter, okay? The maturity, the progression, the experience. If I'm asking you to come into the NFL and play at a high level every week, a consistently high level, you better be able to do it in college. So when you get to the NFL, you're confident. You could see Arch Manning now gaining confidence at Texas. He's not ready for the NFL. But people are talking about him maybe going in. Why? For 1 year as a starter, it's not enough. And I think when you look at Bill Parcells, ironically, this is the irony of this. He started this about experience, and this is why it's not a perfect science and not an exact science. It's not a perfect world with the draft. He drafted Jake Long, okay, and waited till the second round. Number 1 overall, Jake Long, offensive tackle out of Michigan. In the second round, drafted Chad Henne, quarterback out of Michigan. Chad Henne had 45 starts at Michigan. Matt Ryan was in that draft. Now, Matt Ryan had about 30, but he took Chad Henne. Matt Ryan went in that draft. He could have had Matt Ryan instead of Jake Long, but he said, I'll get the left tackle, the bookend, like Jumbo Elliott was, right, for him, and I'll wait for the second round and get my quarterback who's got 45 starts. How'd it work out with Chad Henne? Been a really good backup in the NFL, but as a starter, So for Bill Parcells, who I think had a great philosophy on that, it didn't work with Chad Henne in the second round with those 45 starts. So, I do think it's important, though, and I do think it proves that the minimal starts that you have show that you're just not ready. You're not ready. And so I think that's why I say Ty Simpson with only, 14, 15 starts at the end of the year, depending on how far Alabama goes, will have to make that tough call. And I know the money's hard to pass up, but you're getting paid in college now, right? So, and then it's going to benefit you in terms of the longevity of your career and the success you'll have in the NFL. So use that, I wouldn't call it a minor league year, but use that year against a lot of AOGs, and you guys know what AOGs are. Use it against a lot of AOGs in college, because when you're playing in the NFL, you're playing against the best in the world, and you better be prepared and equipped and mature and experienced enough to go up against those guys in year 1 and year 2 and be ready to play at a high level, or everybody in the media and around the country is going to be ripping you as a bust. You're not getting to year 4, 5, or 6. You're going to be evaluated as a first, second year quarter. They're saying now, well, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel haven't necessarily shown enough. So shown what? They're just, Shedeur ain't even played yet. Okay? Dylan Gabriel's just kind of figuring it out. He's holding his own with a bad offensive line and guys dropping balls all over the place. So, again, this is what you have to deal with. And that's why I say I should have Fernando Mendoza. I think Jordan has him going number 1. I have him like 3rd on the board. Fernando Mendoza said, one thing, guys, I love. He said, I don't touch social media. Oh, what? That guy should be my all-time number 1. Fernando Mendoza doesn't even touch social media. Great. Right. That'll take you a long way, Fernando, and hopefully everybody follows suit. So, again, I have him 3. I probably should have him 1. But Dante Moore from Oregon, despite the subpar performance against Indiana, I still have him at number 1 because I can't get that Penn State game out of my head where he was unbelievable.
Listen, he's in midseason form. This is peak Mel Kiper Jr. Mike, how long ago did you ask him, what does he look for? I mean,
about 5-6 minutes, and that's why I loved Mel. It was the easiest thing in the world to produce.
A lot of times, Stu, I don't remember the damn question when I'm talking. What was
I don't either.
I just start talking. I don't remember what the damn question was.
You somehow took us to Mendoza, and I love you for it.
So Mel, let me ask you that. You have Moore higher on your big board, but Moore has substantially lower starts in college than Mendoza. So does that mean, even though you have Moore ranked higher, if you were picking number 1, like a certain team might, you would take Mendoza?
Yeah, this is the tough part, Mikey, is trying to balance that all out. I love Dante Moore. I hope he goes back to Oregon. Like I said, I got the starts here. Guess what? Who was the quarterback this past year that he backed up? Dylan Gabriel. 63 starts. Who was the quarterback the year prior to Gabriel? Was Bo Nix. Wow. Bo Nix, 61 starts. Auburn, then Oregon. Bo Nix, has it benefited him? I would think it has. Dylan Gabriel's holding his own, right? Does it benefit him? I think it has. So, again, I rattle off those names, the guys with all those starts. Certainly it's benefited Jackson Dart to have all those starts, right? So, again, I look at it and say, and ironically, when Mitchell Trubisky went 2nd overall with those 13 starts, Patrick Mahomes went behind him. He had 29 starts, right? Deshaun Watson, I think there 35 starts, went behind a guy with only 13. How'd that work out? So I'm not saying it's foolproof. It's no system's perfect. You can have a gambler, a handicapper come one and say, I got a system. It's not going to be 80, 90, 100%. You're going to have some that are wrong, but you got to stick and be disciplined in that approach. To your point, Mikey, Dante Moore, I would advise him to go back. Right. Great player. Go back, get another full year. This is the only 1 full year he will have is this year. When he was at UCLA, after being ranked the number 1 guy coming out of high school, He had 4 games that year where he was below, I think, 50%. 3 games he was like 42, 43% against Oregon State and like Washington State. He struggled there. So this is his first full year, and let's see how he plays the rest of the season. And the one thing, too, guys, last time I checked, this came out October 14th. Okay? October 14th. Baseball season's not over yet. May not end until November 1st, right? Whatever it is, when the 7th game of the World Series hopefully takes place.
It ended when the Yankees went out, though, Mel.
Well, yeah.
We all know the Dodgers are winning it. They're
a great year. We had a lot of injuries and whatever. But the bottom line is, I'm not writing anything in pen. And I think we get locked into Kiper said this, like that. I'm saying a lot of things. Now, I'm not putting exclamation points, and I'm not writing anything in pen now. So don't hold me to anything about these ratings and about these feelings on players. They can change, okay? You evaluate, this is a stock up, stock down type of thing. But I do think Dante Moore, when I saw that Penn State game, and you just think about that, guys. This is off subject, too, because I'm going to Penn State looked like they had that game in overtime. All right? They had it. Dante Moore was Superman that night in Happy Valley at the Whiteout. If he's not Superman and Penn State wins that game, what happens to Penn State? Where are they then? Against UCLA. Where are they against North? Where's James Franklin right now? Probably still coaching Penn State. So that one game cost them a season, cost James Franklin his job there, and Dante Moore was responsible. Because Dante Moore that night, like I say, was Superman. He was awe-inspiring. And I can't say because he didn't play as well against Indiana. That team didn't play as well. They looked like they were, I would say, maybe overconfident. They didn't bring the fire, the passion that Indiana did. Indiana brought that. And you saw Cignetti go crazy after that non-call, right?
Yep.
And they had a pick 6 against Fernando for a touchdown. Pick 6, right?
He's the Earl Weaver of college football, Cignetti. He is. Yeah.
He went crazy. And I love that. Yeah, and that's what Cignetti brings, that passion, that confidence in those players. Aiden Fisher, and you see it with D'Angelo Pons, and you see it with Carter Smith at left tackle, and Surratt, and Cooper, the wide receiver. And you got Roman Hemby to transfer from Maryland at running back. This team has a lot of great warriors, okay? And they got a lot of guys that he brought from JMU, by the way.
Yep.
They're still key guys. And that was the benefit that Curt Cignetti had going from JMU to Indiana. Last year, he had a ton of guys. Some left, right? They moved on to the NFL or another, I call them AOGs. You know what they are? Another occupation guys, right? They're doing something else other than playing football. But he's still got some Kamara coming off the edge. JMU guy. So those guys are still helping Cignetti do what he's doing. So he had a big advantage with that. Those guys came with him. They knew what he wanted offensively and defensively, and they kind of helped them bring the rest of that team on board. And that locker room went on that practice field. So to me, Indiana brought it against Oregon. Oregon didn't match that intensity, and it showed.
I'm glad you mentioned how much this could change moving forward here, but I'm wondering, when you left last year's college football season, did you think Dante Moore was going to be number 1 on the big board, or did that just happen over time, over the course of seeing him?
You know what? You wanted to see him because he was rated so highly coming out of high school.
Right. And
then you saw him at UCLA and say, okay, with Chip Kelly, that wasn't working. And then he sat behind Dylan Gabriel, but we didn't see him. There's no evidence then that he was going to be great. Then you watched him this year and say, boy, he's doing the arm angles. He's accurate. He's got this, I would say, unflappable feel about him, like nothing's bothering him. And as I said, it's hard. That's why the subjective evaluation is so tough. When I watched him against Penn State, I'm thinking, wow, he looks like, plus, and think about this too, forget the starts too. Another fact, he's 20 years of age. He won't be 21 until after the draft. He'll be 20 years of age. That's why I say, Lenora Sellers at South Carolina, struggling, right? The offensive line's not very good. Go back and play another year. Don't come out after a struggling year when you didn't figure it out and have that swagger in college and that super confidence that you're week to week playing great football. Go find that in college and then come out after that type of year into the NFL where you're playing against the best in the world. To expect these guys who are struggling a little bit in college, all of a sudden, flip that switch in the NFL is not going to happen. So to me, unless you want to let them sit for 3 or 4 years, that's not going to happen. It happens in Green Bay. That's the only one that happens with. You go to Green Bay, right. Aaron Rodgers sat, Jordan Love sat. But guess what, guys? Patrick Mahomes sat for 1 year, right? In Kansas City behind Alex Smith. Normally that doesn't happen. So for these guys, be ready, be equipped to play at that level as a rookie or second year. Because by year 3, you're kicked to the curb. You're kicked to the curb. Because guess what happens? It's not that the quarterbacks, you imagine, I say the internet for Mendoza, you imagine reading the stuff that people say? You imagine turning on the TV and listening to comments? listen to all it used to be. Did you read the paper? Now there's no papers, right? You got to go to the internet. No papers. You used to don't read the paper. Don't listen to the radio. But now
Taylor has no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you got everything else. So if you stay, can you stay away from that like Fernando can? A lot of players can't. So they're beat up so much mentally and physically, like say behind a bad offensive line or whatever it is, that you got to take as many years as you have in college to play football. Take them unless you're at that number you need to be, and you feel like you are coming out after a hell of a year where you're ready physically and mentally for what you're going to be, the demands and the expectations right away in the NFL.
Mel, now he's not going to do it, but if Arch Manning decided to come out after this season, would he be the number 1 pick in the draft?
No. He would be. Now, so this is, again, you're asking me on October 14th. If he made progress against Oklahoma. And John Mateer, give the kid credit. He's been great. Alpha. Yes. He went out there. He wanted to play in a Red River rivalry because that's probably his only shot if he goes into the NFL after this year. He shouldn't have played. I don't think he should have played coming off that hand that quick. I know he probably forced his way onto the field, and you saw that he just didn't have it. And that allowed Arch and Texas and that defense, and I think felt like, hey, we're underappreciated. It's all about Venables and that defense. We're pretty good here too. We're going to show you. And they showed a quarterback that was not even close to 100% with that hand injury. So then coming off that surgery from 16, 17 days prior. Yeah. So for me, Arch made progress. This year is about starting to develop and get to the point where you are silencing the critics who are saying you're terrible, okay? Because you heard it. If his name's not Manning, we're not even done. It's all about the Manning, and that's why he was hyped. And I heard somebody, he's awful. This is what you got to deal with, guys. This is what you got to deal with as a young 20, 21-year-old kid. And Archie said it best back in August. Would you guys stop with the first-round mocks with Arch? Remember Archie said that, Grandpa, who you got to respect grandfather, respect grandfathers, their wisdom, right?
Yes.
He said, please keep Arch out of the mock first rounds. He's not going to be in the draft. And that was before he played Ohio State, guys. And you saw what happened there. So if Arch Manning, I would say 99.99999, because I'm never going to say 100%, is going to be back at Texas next year. He has to be back at Texas next year. He would be crazy to leave for the NFL. He's got to figure out college first. And this 1 year of figuring it out, I gave you the starts. He only had 2 starts going into this year. He's not going to beat that number or anywhere close to it. And he's still trying to figure. Was that all inspiring? No, it was progression. But it wasn't he's ready for the NFL performance. So, if he can string them together and get ready for next year and have that great year, to answer your question, so he could be the number 1 pick in the 2027 draft. When we're in Washington, D.C. for the 2027 draft, if he keeps progressing, that should be Arch Manning's year, not 2026.
Mel, how impressive has it been watching this Miami team with Bain and Mesidor bookending each other on that defensive line?
Yeah, Jason Taylor coaching them. How about Jason Taylor coaching them? Yeah. Hall of Famer Jason Taylor, 3rd round pick out of Akron, by the way. Again, you're talking about Mesidor, who is a guy who kind of, I'm going to say plays in the shadow, but is equally as good. I always had him on the top 25 board. Love the kid. Love what he's doing. Bain, the one thing that's underrated about Bain, because people are going to say he doesn't have the longest arms, and he doesn't. He has short arms. He's not going to run the greatest 40. He takes incredible angles to the quarterback. When you can make up for a lack of this stuff. You do have great instincts, great technique, great fundamentals. Okay, linebackers that see it quicker don't have to have the great 40. Okay, you can have a great 40 if you're slower reacting. You're going to play like a 4.9 guy when you're a 4.6 guy, and vice versa. So for Bain, he doesn't have the great arm length. Everybody would love to have Myles Garrett 35 arms, right? But guess what? Hendrickson's got only 32 arms. I checked Micah Parsons, 31 and a half. Okay? So it's arm length for them, the end-all, be-all. You'd love to have it, but you don't have to have it. And for Bain, we'll have to see what he runs. That's going to be important because some of these defensive ends have to run a certain time where the way they utilize them within their schemes, get all that. But, he's in the top 10 because he is one hell of a football player, and he brings it. I mean, you talk about tackles, chasing plays, hustling, playing fierce. Yet he does it. Mesidor does it as well. That kid, Malachi Tony, a true freshman receiver, does it as well. Carson Beck's getting a clean pocket now to throw from, to hit Tony down the field, right? Fletcher's giving him the balance, but that O-line's giving him that fortress that Carson Beck needs to be a guy that people are going to start discussing more and more as a potential first-round pick. Remember, guys, that's 25. It's not 32. Okay?
Right.
So it's not the entire first round. It's
Yes.
25 guys, 32 go in the first. Carson Beck, Mateer, if he can get back to the way he was prior to the injury, I think certainly are guys. And you also have to think about Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier is just inconsistent. You see flashes, but then you see some head scratchers. So if he can gain a measure of consistency moving forward through the rest of the year, we're only at the halfway mark. Less than that if guys go on to the playoffs and even in championship games, and forget the bowl games. So we're at the halfway mark. A lot of football still to be played.
Mel, who's the guy who has hurt their draft status the most?
Ooh, it's a great question. I would say right now, what we expected, I'll go right to Lenora Sellers,
Wow.
the quarterback of South Carolina. You thought he could be right up there with Dante Moore and with Fernando Mendoza and being, I don't know where Jordan, I didn't see the whole Jordan Reed mock. I'd be curious if you can pull it up. Pull up Jordan Reed's mock and see where Jordan had him going. I thought he'd be up there at 1 or 2. He looked like a Josh Allen type physical build. He looked like the Cam Newton type build. That's who the comps would be. But the inconsistencies with accuracy, the mistakes, the offensive line's not helping him. He's not getting the ball to Nick Harbor enough. There's a lot of things going on there that I think tell you that Lenora Sellers, I think, needs to go back, for another year to South Carolina. Now, I have him right now at 21 on the big board. So he's still, on talent is going to be tough to pass up at some point there. But I think he needs to go back for another year, and it would certainly benefit him tremendously. As far as other guys at other positions, Caden Proctor would have been, based on the Florida State game, where he had all kinds of issues in pass protection. Okay, but he has rebounded like Ty Simpson. Caden Proctor has rebounded to the point where he's in that top 25. So he's not as high as maybe he would have been when back in August. He's not as low as some people are talking about as a 4th rounder after the Florida State game. Like, this guy can't play as an offensive tackle in the NFL. He has rebounded to get back into that top 25. So sometimes I say, if you'd asked me after that Florida State game, Stu, and Mikey, who's got Caden Proctor has dropped way down. Well, here he is. After we played 5 more games, he's recovered. So let's see how these guys go the rest of the way in terms of their grade, and not to give knee-jerk reactions, as I say, to one game. And that's why I didn't want to do that for Dante Moore. Based on the Indiana game, guess what? Fernando Mendoza threw a pick 6 in that game. He wasn't all-inspiring either. So this was a week. I waited for this week purpose. It was intentional to wait for this particular week because all these quarterbacks were having all these great evaluation games. Outside of Ty Simpson, none of them did anything special.
Right.
So it was like, why did I wait? I didn't need to wait.
Yes.
Come out with
and we all realize this is in pencil. It's not in pen. All right. So everyone leave Mel Kiper the fuck alone. All right. You understand that?
No, when you were
change it. We'll change. It's going to change week to week because college football's crazy, Mel.
Hey, I love seeing some of the Kim and I. We'll sit here and I'll read. And a good friend of mine sends. I just laugh. These guys are really creative with some of the things they say. They really are. They really are creative. I give them a lot of credit. I mean, I don't know who these people are. I don't know who would respond and say things like that. Live your life, go out and have fun, enjoy, get out on the golf course, do your thing. You're worried about sending stuff, comments, all these little comments after all these different things that people. I don't get it, but hey, some of it is very entertaining.
Yeah, but those people have made you this famous, Mel Kiper. They have.
Hey,
I mean,
I love them, Stu. I love that because guess what? A lot of them will call me and they'll be arguing with me, and I love arguing. I'm gonna say arguments. I love debates. Okay, sure. Can't you tell? I love debates. Bring it. Bring your feelings, bring your opinions, and let's hash it out here. And at the end of the day, we'll find out who's right. And as far as prospects, 3-4 years down the road, as far as predictions, maybe next week. So again, I think fans are great. I love that. Now I did say to everybody, don't send me anything after. They used to send me all these articles after the draft. There were some really good ones. And there were some incredibly harsh ones, right? So I said, why? I don't want to read the good and I don't want to read the bad. So don't send me anything. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of it. So I don't get any of that. But I do hear through the grapevine a lot of the comments, and I do get the calls because a lot of them will call me because a lot of them were subscribers of mine for 30-some years that will still call me and say, oh, what the heck are you thinking? Why did you have him here? Why did you do that? Why did you say this? And I love to have some of those conversations, guys, start being like 15-minute conversation, and guess what? They end up being 3 hours. So there you go.
Right. Yes. Yes. And you dominate all of them. Don't give Taylor any ideas, by the way. Okay. Just,
Mel, when you're doing your big board and you're factoring Caden Proctor in, how are you kind of taking into account how Alabama uses him? Like they're putting in wildcat packages for him. They're splitting him out wide at receiver. Like, is that going into the big board at all?
Yeah, that was an interesting play when you saw that 74 rolling, rumbling, and bumbling, and people just it reminded me. What's that movie? What's the movie? What's the movie? It was oh gosh, it was a movie with football, a football movie. I can't remember.
Rumbling, bumbling. I'm trying to jar your memory.
Remember that big guy was he has a trick play at the end of the game, and he.
Remember the Titans? Yes.
Was it Replacements?
No.
Remember the Titans had a trick play at the end of the game that would never work in real life. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Necessary roughness.
No.
Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues.
Ah,
Varsity Blues.
Boom.
Yeah, Varsity Blues. Yeah, the backup quarterback was in and whatever, and they had the trick play at the end to win the game. And he's probably coming, boom, 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 boom. And I can tell you what, and that's what Caden Proctor was doing. That was pretty amazing. But to see him come back and to see Florida State, Ty Simpson come back. I mean, Alabama come back from that Florida. I call it the Florida State debacle. To see them rebound the way they have in Kalen DeBoer. I mean, I'm listening to Feinbaum after that week, and the legends calling in to Feinbaum. I'm listening to the legends going, "Oh, Kalen DeBoer's got to go. He got to go. Yeah, and they wanted Kalen DeBoer. They want the AD. They want everybody gone, right? Everybody's got to go after that one game, and now they all love Kalen DeBoer, love the AD. Hey, and he called in. I give legend credit. He called. He said, "Hey, I'm a fan. I have a right to change my mind, right?"
Yes. And the fan is right. Yes. Yeah. They lose to Tennessee this weekend. He'll fire him again.
Yeah, exactly. But we all should have the right to change our mind. I think we all get in. We can't change our mind because it's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, guys.
Yes.
Mel, I can't let you come on here without asking about your beloved Ravens. They are floundering, Mel. What's wrong with the Ravens?
Injuries, guys. We had the Orioles with injuries, with the pitching staff and other players, and the Ravens. And it's been kind of a perfect storm against the Ravens, guys. You have all these injuries on both sides of the ball. Now Lamar hurt, and you have this schedule, which has been unforgiving. You know, you look at this gauntlet they had to go through. They had Cleveland. They got the win. That's their only win. But every team has been playoff. Seems Kansas City's now looking like they're going to be back in the Super Bowl. So it's been one of those things. They had to get the bye. Got the Bears coming up at home. You got to get on a roll. And we talk about making the tournament. But you got to win enough games to qualify. So they got their margin for error now. They don't have it. They got to win. And with all the injuries they have, I don't know if they can recover. Hopefully they can. It's a land of pleasant living rolls on, guys. The crab cakes, the orange crushes are great. But the Orioles and the Ravens has been rough all the way around. My predictions of Penn State, the Ravens, it just didn't work in there. So again, we got a long season ahead. The NFL was shown Kansas City. Everybody was critical. They had injuries, right? When you have a ton of injuries, you're reduced to not quite the team you were, right? Because they reduced to mediocrity. But you get healthier, and then you start to show you're the team everybody thought you were and could be. So maybe if the Ravens can get healthy and get that swagger back and that confidence back, and Lamar comes back from that hamstring, then maybe in this division, which is not that strong, obviously, Pittsburgh finds a way to win games. Bengals don't have Burrow, and that's why they made the move for Flacco, because they're thinking maybe we can steal some wins and maybe get in this mix. So again, the division will allow the Ravens to maybe get back into it, but you got to start winning football games at some point.
Mel, we're going to let you go here in a second. Do you think any of these quarterbacks might tank a couple of games, play poorly because they're trying to avoid being drafted by the Jets?
Smart. It's a heady play.
Well, let's just go. Here's Justin Fields. Everybody's critical of Justin Fields. He can never be in the same system for 2 years. If you're not, seeing it quickly and getting it out there, body your hands and processing, you need to be in the same system for 2 or 3 years. He's never been afforded that opportunity. So it's kind of been the perfect storm against Justin Fields. So they're going to find a quarterback. I don't know who it's going to be, because if I'm Dante Moore, I'm not worrying about any of this nonsense. I'm going back to Oregon. First of all, I got to try to kind of bottle what I did against Penn State and take that through the rest of the year. Forget that Indiana game. Flush that game, right? Flush the Indiana game, bottle the Penn State game. And if he does, he's going to be number one. If he doesn't, it's an easy decision. You go back. And even if he does do that, does he have enough starts? I would still go back. In terms of Mendoza, is Mendoza going to play well enough to be worthy of being the guy that's going to be franchise? We'll see, right? And then Ty Simpson, what's he going to play like the rest of the year? And is that going to be enough starts? I don't think so. I would go back to Alabama. Sellers, I would go back as well. So who's left? Who's the last man standing at quarterback is going to be the question. It's certainly Mendoza is going to be in this mix. There's no question about that. Does Carson Beck ascend up that high? We'll see. He's got a hell of a supporting cast around him down at Miami. I think it's going to be fun to see how it plays out. But this quarterback class was supposed to be 7, 8, 9 guys deep in terms of early rounders. Now, Nico's out at UCLA doing some good things now after struggles early on. Left Tennessee for UCLA. Everybody said, why did he do that? What happened? He can't win a game, and then he upsets Penn State. Then he beats Michigan State. See how that plays out. But this quarterback class was supposed to, as I said, 7, 8, 9 deep, has not panned out at all. So if you ask me, the most disappointing aspect of this draft from what we said and thought in August to where we are right now, it's the quarterback position overall.
All right, the big board is out. It's on ESPN.com. He'll be all over ESPN, I'm certain, promoting it. Mel, thank you for the time. Are you good with your Orioles Mount Rushmore? Do you want to finish that off, or you're good?
Yeah, I'm ready now. I'm ready. Okay. This is what I got to do. I got it. Obviously, Brooks and Frank. And Frank Robinson, Jim Palmer, still doing great work with covering the Orioles as the color commentator. And my fourth one's a tough one because I'm considering 10, 11, 12 guys. We talked about all the guys. But it's got to be the Earl of Baltimore. It's got to be the Earl of Baltimore.
Thank you.
You can't, because you got the players. You got the love-hate relationship that Earl Weaver and Jim Palmer had. You got Brooks and Frank. And you got to have the manager, who was as entertaining and as spectacular as any manager in the history of Major League Baseball. Well, and I'll go Earl Weaver. So that's my.
Taylor is outraged you've left out Eddie Murray, who I believe had 500 homers and 3,000 hits.
Eddie Murray was great. Eddie Murray made playing baseball look too easy.
Yeah, he did. You're right.
He made everything look too easy. It almost looked like he wasn't given the great effort because he made it look so easy. Everything was so instinctual and easy for Eddie. Switch hitting, first base, everything. He just unbelievable. Eddie and Cal, best of friends, right? They were together. I was young coming up through the ranks with Jim Palmer and Brooks Robinson and Frank Robinson and Earl Weaver. I was in my 20s with Cal and Eddie. So we all came. So you always go back to when you were the young years, that kind of the formative years where you became who created the baseball fan we are, who created the football fan that we are, right? I'm here with Johnny Unitas in Baltimore. Are you kidding me? I'm here with Artie Donovan. I'm here with great players. You talk about the best in the world. Raymond Berry right behind me. Get up there. There's a plate up there. Raymond Berry right up here. Okay. Bottom line is, you think about the Colts and the Oriole players when you're in that 6 years old to 15-year-old area. Those are the guys that you remember the most, and you kind of want to credit the most for creating that football fan or that baseball fan that we are.
Yeah. Do you know how much I hate Richard Todd for being just good enough to suck this 6 or 7 year old kid into the Jets? I mean, he was just good enough. He was exciting enough.
That was what you had. You had to go back to Klecko and Gastineau and Lyons and that group. Them too. Right. Yeah, I mean, those were some interesting fun years. So we all had that. Like I said, when you fast forward to the sack pack, I remember being out Christmas Eve. How about ruining a Christmas? Christmas Eve, we're playing the Raiders, and we got the Ghost to the Post, and I got the sack pack and Burt, and I got Roger Carr and Dowdy and everybody going strong, and we end up losing that game in overtime to the Raiders, where that was. And then the next year, right after that, Burt Jones is sacked by Al Bubba Baker at the Pontiac Silverdome in a final preseason game. I'm sitting down at the shore down on the Severn River, our family shore property, and we're eating crabs, listening to the radio of Chuck Thompson and Vince Bagley call that game at the Pontiac Silverdome, final preseason game, late August. Burt Jones sacked by Bubba Baker, shoulder injury. Okay, he'll be going to ruin the year. Ended up having a horrific year. We have got the Dallas Cowboys are playing that first Monday night. We lose 31-0, right? So again, that's why I always say to fans, I'll leave you with this. That was a year where everything was set up for the Colts. This team that was on the cusp. They lost that game in overtime to the Raiders, and this is going to be their year. This is going to be the next 5, 6, 7 years. It's going to be the Colts are going to dominate. Injuries in football can destroy you and destroy everything. And so I can't see people say in August or September, October, make these, we're going to do this. We make predictions. We hope we're right, but don't get so excited that I'm always cautiously optimistic. I never want to go and say we're going to beat the hell out of this team. We're going to do this. We're going to be great. Because in football, injuries can destroy you, and they can, just eliminate all your enthusiasm and your hope is destroyed by injury. So let's hope and pray it doesn't happen to your team. But it seems like every week we got something different happening in the NFL with injuries. But that I think going back to the late 70s with the Colts is the way I've always been since that point. Sitting there eating those crabs and hearing that Burt Jones had a shoulder injury was why I never get too high about any team in football that I'm rooting for, just because of that one factor, injury.
Taylor, do you understand why it is me and Mikey A love having this man on so much? I made a comment about Richard Todd. He took us to a story about ruining Christmas. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's amazing.
I can destroy a podcast very quickly too.
You can save one.
Destroying it in a good way. I mean,
I can destroy Darian Bell's show. Mikey tried to reel me in. I talked through hard outs. Hey guys, what was the over under on how many hard outs I talked through? I'm still talking to Mikey. Mel, we went to commercial break about
Mel, we're 3 minutes into the commercial.
What?
You got to come back soon.
Oh my God, we had some wild times at the Darian Bell.
Yes, we did, sir.
Mikey? No,
yes, we did.
Mel, we appreciate the time always, man. You are the absolute greatest.
This is
the big
fun.
board is
do
out.
this every day. This
We can, Mel.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it, man. Take care, buddy.
See you, Mel, man.
You guys.